All right, a lot of unveilings to come this week over at Kobo. In fact, they're starting to take the wraps off them right now. Let's talk about the auto show with a specific focus this morning, as we've been on Flashpoint for some time now, on mobility. Very happy to have John McElroy here from Autoline Detroit, Michelle Krebs, a senior analyst from Autotrader.com, my colleague here at Local 4, a man who covers the auto industry for us, Rod Maloney, and from the Detroit News, their auto writer, Henry Payne. Gang, thanks for being here at a very exciting time. I know you're all swamped with what's going on over there. John, I'd like to start with you. You just got back from CES, and we've watched these almost merge into the same, these just one show merges right into the next with this focus on mobility. Last week, a robotics expert predicted that kids born today in 2017 will never drive a car. That's a difficult world for most of us to imagine, and maybe we don't want to, but is that where we are?
That's where we're going. I wouldn't say that all kids are going to give up driving. Some of us really enjoy driving a car. And some, you know, I don't want an autonomous Mustang or Corvette. I want to be able to drive that. So, yeah, I think a lot of kids will never get a driver's license. But I think the day when nobody drives them by themselves, we're looking deep in the century, 2050, 2060, before that happens.
Michelle, when we watch, though, the way that things like Uber and Lyft have gone from pretty cool millennial apps to part of American life, and the way that they're now associating with auto companies, it is hard to not smell the coffee.
Well, yes, but everything we find is that they don't want just one or the other, they want both. So our studies show that they want to use Uber and Lyft for certain circumstances, but they also still want to drive personally. Our studies also show that Gen Z just totally assumes that they will have self-driving cars in their future. Just
as the same way that Lyft has always been a part of their lives, and Uber. Rod, every time I talk to you about autonomous cars, you kind of recoil a little bit because, as John mentioned, you love to drive.
I do enjoy driving, and I think that a lot of people do enjoy driving, but remember that we live in what amounts to flyover country. If you live in Chicago, if you live in New York, you live in Boston, you live in San Francisco, driving is a hassle. And so having that option to just let the car go would be nice. But if I want to go up north, if I want to go visit family down in North Carolina, I want to drive.
Well, it's kind of hard to figure out how Uber gets you there.
That's true, exactly. And that becomes the problem. And I still believe in many ways, much like John is talking about, that I think that for most of us, this idea of you know, future mobility is that distant that, for instance, it's going to be an option. In other words, you have the option of having your self-driving car or not, and you can use one or the other. I think that's the most immediate iteration of what we're looking at.
And Henry, this gets us to where there's a really, I think that this frames the difficulty for the automakers. They've always wanted at these auto shows to excite us with something that we want to get into and can't wait to drive. And now I guess we're supposed to, in some ways, get excited about, oh, I'd like to get in that and be taken somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to change. I mean, I think John had a really wonderful report from CES this week talking about Lyft, and Lyft is saying that half their fleet is going to be self-driving by 2021, right? All of it by 2025. I think that's really ambitious. I mean, this is a company that needs to raise a lot of capital, so it's really promoting its product, but I think that goes to the point that self-driving is going to be in fleets. That's where you're going to see it. I mean, you go. I mean, there's no coincidence that a lot of these Silicon Valley companies are the ones that are developing self-driving. You go on Route 101 in San Francisco, and you just sit there. I mean, it's a slog. You don't want to be in your own car. You just want to call Lyft and say, can you get me to work, please? And Lyft says, you bet, and I want to do it in a driverless car because I don't want the overhead of a driver. They save so much money in overhead costs by taking the driver and insurance out of it. So that's really where we're going to see it. We're not going to see it in I think, as John said, in Mustangs and in daily drivers. This is fleet stuff.
And, yeah, exactly. And truck fleets. This year we saw the first truck go across country. That makes a lot of sense. You know, certain areas. I know there's an experiment going on in Singapore where it's a self-driving car that picks people up along the way and then takes them to the public transportation spots.
And we can see we're going to have some international cities here very shortly just get rid of cars in their city centers. Helsinki, a number of cities have talked about that. Let's talk about what we saw announced about last week from Ford, though, and now this, I guess, will intersect with politics a little bit, John. Ford, with their announcement about Flat Rock up, Mexico down, and Mark Fields giving Donald Trump some credit for the focus on American manufacturing. That announcement, though, also had a lot to do with electrifying their fleet. What was your takeaway on that?
Well, there's so many things to take away.
Yes.
You raised so many issues there. Look, you know, Ford says this had nothing to do with Trump. I sure do believe it had a lot to do with Trump. And, you know, they praised him. Mark Fields tweeted out, hey, you know, we're bringing jobs back. And what's the first thing Trump did? He attacked General Motors. And now then after that, he's going after Toyota. So, yeah, there's a lot of change coming with the new administration. Ford's talking a whole lot more about electrification. They had to. I mean, they've been developing this stuff. And we know that elsewhere in the world, there's a huge push on for electrification. So even if the U.S. starts to back off, Europe and China are still going to plunge straight ahead. And California is still going to go with that. This could actually hurt the American automakers. They need the economies of scale for the full globe. If you take the American market out of it, you're going to put them at a competitive disadvantage in other markets around the world because they're not going to have the scale of selling that electrification or whatever it happens to be in the U.S. market.
But I'll say this. I think the other thing that automakers really like about the coming autonomy revolution is it's electric car based in a lot of ways. I mean, again, these are fleets, and you're taking fleets, and at the end of the day, you're plugging them in. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes under Trump coming to the EPA, but there's also sort of I think a natural market there for electrics in fleet autonomous vehicles will take care of a lot of these emissions mandates.
Well, the thing that struck me, because I asked Mark Fields the question, okay, tell me about the president and tell me about EPA CAFE standards. And that he went right to that and said, look, we have the midterm review. That's huge for this industry because the reason electric cars even exist in the forms that they do is because they're trying to meet that CAFE standard at 2025. But Fields started talking about the 2018 midterm review, which leads me to believe that he thinks that part of this whole negotiation that Trump is starting is a back off on those EPA standards so they don't have to meet the tough standards at the out years.
Well, and you and I talked about it this week. There's horse trading going on. I'll give you this. These jobs in Flat Rock, but how about some backing off regulatory policies? How about, you know, some tax breaks?
Mark Fields also told you, though, that in the as Donald Trump takes over, your job as an analyst, the analysis world is really good job security right now. But what do you expect it means?
Well, I think 2017 is the year of the unknown and uncertainty, and that makes the industry
That's not typically good for business.
No, that is not good for business, and especially not the auto industry. So we've got to let some things unfold because there are some really good things that could happen. If we get infrastructure spending, we could see great truck sales. But we get border tariffs, that could change the game.
And I think that the whole notion of reducing the corporate income tax as sort of the quid pro quo, I'm not so sure that the border tax is the best counterbalance to that. That's troubling to those of us who understand business and spend a lot of time talking about it. Tariffs, it's sort of like talking nation building for Republicans. It just, what are we talking about here?
Vocabulary.
Yeah.
I get what Mark Fields, he has to play politics. This is a heavily regulated industry, but you know, it'd be nice if a CEO would stand up to Trump and say, look, we'll stop building cars in Mexico and you stop importing Chinese steel to build your skyscrapers. I mean, this is a global economy.
It'd be nice, but you can't do that, Henry. I mean, you'd have half the country turn against you, the half that supported Trump. You can't do that.
I know, you can't. Exactly. That's the CEO's place. But what I'm saying is, this is an enormously complicated industry, and Trump may push back against Obama's regulations. He isn't helping companies by getting involved in their trade issues.
I want to quickly get now to where Detroit fits into all of this. John, you and I have talked about this before. The Motor City, the city that put the world on wheels, doesn't necessarily mean the mobility capital, and there's quite a battle going on right now to be the centerpiece where mobility is decided, built, and happens. How's Detroit faring?
I think we're doing really well. I really do. In fact, I would say, this is my viewpoint, right? GM and Ford are absolutely at the lead of this compared to any other automaker in the world. The state of Michigan has stepped up so strongly with legislation, with the kind of infrastructure, test facilities and the like. The whole mentality is here. You're seeing a lot of collaboration now between Detroit and Silicon Valley. In fact, I'm even starting to perceive more collaboration here in Detroit. Silicon Valley still has this idea, you know, these rubes out in the Midwest. That's breaking down, but look, I think we're in a really good position. Nobody knows exactly where this is going,
sure,
but the trend lines are starting to become clearer. And I think we're in as good a position as we could hope to be right now.
And I would say, too, it's not just one center. It looks to me like what's happening is Silicon Valley is finally figuring out, you know, we're good at the software thing. Why do the whole hardware thing? Detroit's really good at the whole hardware thing.
Just look in Ann Arbor, and Google is in Ann Arbor, is building a major campus in Ann Arbor, and just like the auto companies here, it has suppliers that come with it. NVIDIA, which is a major chip player in this whole game with autonomous cars, is also coming to Ann Arbor. So I think these industries basically will have camps in both their backyards.
You know, and I agree. Tesla has found out that, you know what, the car makers actually know how to build cars, and we get the software. So, you know, let's go to them for their expertise. We'll go with ours. You'll look today. Chrysler is going to be working with Google with their Pacifica minivan. Big announcement there. So I think that it's indisputable that we are, for all intents and purposes, the capital.
Got to get to a quick break. This is Flashpoint on Local 4. Back with more in just a minute.